froze in the hallway, staring at that single chair moving across the floor. There was no one inside room 214. Not a student, not a teacher, no maintenance staff. Nothing. And yet, the chair inched forward, scraping the linoleum with a sound that made my blood run cold. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. Hurry, you can't leave yet. I swallowed hard and yanked on the classroom door handle. Locked. I rattled it, but it wouldn't budge. The tapping had resumed inside, slow and methodical. Now moving from the desk to the windowsill, then to the door frame. Every tap made a faint vibration in the floor that I could feel through my shoes. I backed up, heart hammering, and realized that the fluorescent lights in the hall had started flickering. Shadowed shapes appeared at the edges of the light, tall and still, like they were leaning just out of sight. I ran down the hall toward the main office, convinced the situation couldn't get worse. But halfway there, I passed the old trophy case, and my reflection froze me in place. Behind me in the glass, I could see someone standing, tall, slender, completely still. Closer than I'd expected, but when I turned, the hallway was empty. Only the flickering lights overhead betrayed the presence of anything unusual. My phone buzzed one more time. I dared not look, but I did. You shouldn't have ignored the warning. Suddenly, every classroom door in that wing slammed shut simultaneously, a deafening cacophony of metal and wood that echoed like gunshots through the deserted school. I stumbled backward into the wall, heart racing, and a cold draft swept down the hall. The temperature dropped suddenly, my breath fogging in the air. From deep inside room 214, I heard something else. A low, guttural whisper, so faint I almost couldn't make it out at first. Then it became clear. You belong here. The words weren't coming from the room itself. They were in my head. I wanted to scream, but my throat refused. I could feel something pressing closer from all sides. The shadows now moving toward me with purpose, shaping the darkness like it had its own will. I bolted toward the main office, praying someone, anyone, was there. But the hall stretched endlessly, the end disappearing into darkness like the building had transformed overnight into a labyrinth designed to trap me. The hallway kept stretching no matter how fast I ran. My footsteps echoed back at me, delayed and distorted, like someone else was running just a half-second behind. The exit sign above the main office flickered in and out, sometimes disappearing entirely, sometimes glowing so bright it hurt to look at. I slowed, gasping for breath, my chest burning as if the air itself had grown heavier. That's when the lockers started opening, one by one at first. A soft metallic clack, then another, then dozens. Locker doors slammed open down both sides of the hallway in perfect sequence, creating a wind tunnel of cold air that rushed past me. Inside them weren't books or backpacks, just darkness, deep, endless black that swallowed the light around it. From within that darkness came whispers, children's voices, teachers, voices I recognized, voices that shouldn't have been there. You stayed too late. Detention never ends. You didn't listen. I pressed my hands over my ears, but the voices didn't fade. They weren't sound. They were thoughts being forced into my head. My phone buzzed violently in my pocket over and over until I finally pulled it out. The screen showed a group text, dozens of names, former students, former staff, some of them dead, all marked active. A new message appeared. Attendance is mandatory. The bell rang. Not a normal bell. This one was warped, stretched, ringing too long and too loud, vibrating through my teeth and bones. Classroom lights snapped on all around me. I looked through the window of the nearest door and felt my stomach twist. Every desk was filled. Students sat perfectly upright, hands folded, faces pale and expressionless. Every single one of them slowly turned their heads toward me in unison. At the front of the room stood a figure with its back to the class, too tall, too thin, wearing a teacher's silhouette but moving wrong, like its joints didn't quite line up. It turned its head just enough for me to see one eye staring back through the glass. My phone buzzed one final time. "Your turn." The classroom door handle began to turn on its own, inch by inch, as the bell rang again. And this time it didn't stop. I used to run at the park every evening after work. Same trail, same time, same routine. It was a large public park, just outside the city, with walking paths that cut through trees, a small lake in the center, and old playground equipment that always looked slightly out of place once the sun started going down. People always warned me not to stay too late, but I brushed it off. It was familiar, safe, or at least I thought it was. One evening in early fall, I arrived later than usual. The sky was already turning dark orange, the air colder than it should have been. The parking lot was nearly empty, just my car and a single van parked near the trees. That should have been my first sign to leave. Instead, I put my earbuds in and started running. The park felt quieter than normal. No dogs barking, no distant traffic. Even the insects seemed muted. About 10 minutes into my run, I noticed someone ahead of me on the trail. A man walking slowly, hands in his jacket pockets. He didn't turn around when I got closer, which was strange because my footsteps were loud on the gravel. I passed him on the left, nodding politely. He didn't react, didn't blink, didn't even breathe visibly. As soon as I passed him, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I slowed down, pulled it out, and felt my stomach drop. The screen showed a message from an unknown number. "Don't stop running." I turned around instantly. The trail behind me was empty. The man was gone, no footsteps, no movement in the trees, just the path stretching back the way I came. My heart started racing faster than my legs. I told myself it was a prank, a coincidence. Then my earbuds crackled with static. A voice replaced my music, low, calm, and too close to my ear. "You weren't supposed to see me yet." That's when the trail lights ahead of me shut off one by one, plunging the path into darkness, and something heavy stepped onto the gravel behind me. I froze mid-step, my breath catching in my throat. The sound behind me wasn't human, at least it wasn't moving like anyone I'd ever seen.